driven by instinct? Are we driven by sensation? Are we driven by something else entirely? And I want you to be taking notes while I do this. Take notes, because tomorrow one of the assignments is going to be a quick review. There'll be a few questions on there, and I'm going to want you to, if you use your notes, your life will be a lot easier with that. Also, it will help you with the assignment that this is attached to. After you watch this video, to get attendance credit, because then you have attended the lesson, I need you to respond with the following things. 3 questions that you have, or 3 questions about something, or 3 questions that refer back to something. Think of Cornell Notes, that section over in this corner where you can ask questions about things, questions that might go on a test. So this would be a question that you have, or a question that if you were a teacher you put on a test. I may use these later as some of the opening exercises and maybe some other things, but I want you to be asking questions and thinking about things. Other thing, I want you to reflect back on it with 2 things that you found interesting, or 2 things that you learned. You might know a lot of this already, might not know very much at all, but I do think it's fairly interesting. So keep track of a couple things that you learned, and then at the very end, I'm going to want a maximum 3-sentence summary of this. You're not going to be able to include everything. I want you to try to condense it down into maximum 3 sentences of what today's lesson is about. So I'll be making notes here as we go and switching in between things, so hopefully this will work out. All right, so motivation. This, if you go on to, I've also posted this PDF. This is lesson 1 that we're going to go through. And I'm going to try and keep this somewhere in the 20 to 30 minute range so you don't die from boredom and listening to my voice. So we're just going to move down because I forgot to do that. All right, so first thing we're going to look at is some of the earliest versions of motivation, what drive us. And the first one we think of is evolutionary theory. So evolutionary theory is that motivation is built into our genetics. So here you are, and you're happy. But that's only because the things that you like, because you like ice cream, and you like cats. There's a cat. That's a black cat there. And you like cats. But this is built into your genetics, and you like to do certain things like eat pizza. You love eating pizza. Pizza's delicious. And you like to, see if I can make that focus a little bit better. That was kind of out of focus. I'm not sure how to fix that. You like to, I don't know, read books. You like to learn things. You like to, I don't know, whatever you like. Things that you enjoy doing, things that you're motivated to do. This is built into our behavior. So the first thing we will think of is William James, Principles of Psychology, that's written back in 1890. And it says that he says that most of our stuff is survival instincts. So this idea of love. Love is a survival instinct. Why would love be a survival instinct? And at this point in normal class, we'd open this up to discussion and we talk about things. But here's the basic idea. If your mom, here, I'll draw a picture of a mom. That's not good. Okay, your mom loves you. Or you love your mom. Here you are as a baby. And she loves you, and she protects you, and she takes care of you. And when angry bears come to get you, grr, I'm a bear. She will protect you, hitting them with frying pans or whatever sort of thing that she has to do. And this keeps you safe. And we feel it as love. And she was motivated to do this out of this feeling of what we call love. This helps her to keep you alive. And since genetics works off of survival of those most adapted and most likely to survive, a species that protects its young, especially a species like human beings, where we are completely useless for the first, a baby would die in a matter of hours without its parents most of the time. Most people are not going to be able to survive on their own until they're we're not even adults until we're 18. A giraffe can get up and run within hours after it is born. A human being doesn't learn to walk until a year and a half after it's born. We suck at being babies. And the only way that human beings are going to be able to survive is if the big person protects the small person. And if the big person is going to protect the small person from scary things like bears, then they have to have some sort of motivation, some sort of thing that makes them value this little bundle of poops more than they might value their own safety. And that's where love comes into it. Sympathy. We are a social group of people. So you've got lots of people. Boom, boom, boom. Here's a guy. Here's another person. And this person is sad. And this person sees this person and feels concerned. They then help this person out. Here, have this taco, the burrito. Have this burrito. And now this person becomes happy. We help each other out. We feel sympathy. We feel empathy for each other because it helps us as a society to work. If everybody in a society that has to work together, because we have to work together because we're horrible, horrible, horrible creatures at living without each other. Just like right now, this is all weird because we're in different rooms. But if we have this, then we work better as a society. We can cooperate. And when humans cooperate, we can build amazing things like cars and cell phones, iPhone, and pizzas. We can get all sorts of cool things. If you guys will hold on a second, I'm going to make sure that those survival instincts that are based in us are designed to help us keep alive, and that's through the idea of evolution. William McDougall had 18 basic instincts. So let's pull up this right here. That's a different thing. Instinct theory. So McDougall thought that there were 18 basic instincts that keep us alive. They fell into various, let me see here. Let's get you over here. It's based on the goal. 3 parts: perception, behavior, and emotion. So we have 3 different types of emotions, instincts: perception, behavioral instincts, and emotional instincts. So these 3 things, we have instincts for this, for what we see, what we pay attention to, how we act when we see said things, and our emotional responses to the world. For example, smell. We have a sense of smell that is looking for food. So we look for good smells, we pay attention to bad smells, and that will change our behavior and our emotional states with this. We are predisposed to do things that will get us food, especially if there is a smell there that is good. And so he decided that our basic 18 instincts, I'm just going to go to another page here, were hunger. We are hungry, we go get something to eat. If you have ever been super duper 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 hungry, you are going to, you'll do almost anything if you get hungry enough. Rejection of particular substances. So like if you eat something that makes you sick, you will spit it out. This is just like if we, I hate cauliflower. I don't know why, but for some reason I reject that particular substance. Cauliflower is evil. Just say no to cauliflowers. Let's see here, what else do we have? Curiosity. Humans are immensely curious. Curiosity. Escape. That's to get away from a dangerous situation. This is to learn about things. Pugnacity. And you say, what the heck is pugnacity? Why, pugnacity is a natural disposition to be aggressive or belligerent. So we fight against things that are problematic with us. Sex. Propagation. Propagation. That's built into most things that exist. Most things that exist, I can't really think of another thing out there that doesn't reproduce that's a life form. And if they don't, then they're not going to continue to exist. These species will go out. Maternal or paternal, that's father, mother, father. Instinct is what we call that idea that we need to take care of our young. Gregariousness. This is to get along and interact with other human beings. We are social creatures. We absolutely are. Anybody who tells you we are not social creatures is wrong. Human beings need, as a whole, there are individual people who don't, but human beings as a whole need to have other human beings around them. We need to have people. Being isolated right now is scary for a lot of us, and we're just realizing how crazy that is. Self-assertion. That's when you make your needs known. Submission. This is actually a really interesting one. We are really, really willing to let people who we perceive as being in charge tell us to do things, and then we will do them. If you remember back to the study that I showed you about the people who were told by the guys in the white coats to increasingly give more electrical shocks to the person who, if they were going to think, if you get a wrong answer, they give them a shock, and the shocks got worse, till eventually they would kill the person. And the people would do that to the point, sometimes, that it would kill the other person. And not because they wanted to kill another person, but because that's what the guy in the white scientist dress thing told them to do. We do what our leaders say. We're pack animals in a lot of ways, and pack animals have leaders, all of them. Wolves and dogs and dolphins and whales and all sorts of apes and various monkeys, and all of those societies tend to have an alpha of some sort who is in charge. And everybody else does what that one says. And we do that. Let's go through here. Submission. Construction. We like to build things. Humans build. That's one of the things we do. Acquisition. If you are a fan of Star Trek, you will know the rules of acquisition, but that's to get stuff. We want to get stuff. I want this thing. And of course we do. You ever see a new thing on TV? Like right now, I want one of these things. You might recognize it once I draw some buttons on it. Put a big N on there. A Nintendo Switch. That looks cool. I want that. Humans like to get stuff. If anybody in the class likes to, collect things, you know what I'm talking about. And most of us like to collect things. Cry out or appeal. So I'm going to put appeal. This means to make our voices heard. Laughter. I love how that's built into us. Comfort. We want to feel comforted. If you take this is an interesting thing. If you take a chimpanzee and you put it in a room and it has a choice of what types of things to play with, it will play with this soft thing that it can hold. And the thing that appears to be like a mom, and we like to be comforted. We like to know that we're okay. Rest. Remember, we know what happens if we don't sleep. And migration. Human beings have been moving around the world forever. So the idea is that this is built into us. We move, we go. We've settled everywhere. Humans are on every single continent. Everyone. So there's humans on Antarctica. Why? So we can look at things. We want to go to the moon. We want to put on things like Star Trek. We want to go places. We like to migrate. We like to spread. So those would be the 18 instincts that we might have. Now, all this is theoretical. Is he 100% right? I don't know. But it is a thing that you think about. A lot of things seem to be built into us. And we don't, human beings as a group of people seem to be motivated by similar types of things. And humans have this. Rooting, sucking, grasping. When you are a baby, here's a baby again, another baby. So if you take a baby and it's right here, and it's got these legs. This is going to be the most disturbing picture of a baby ever. Let's give it some chubby little baby arms. Okay, cool. You got a baby. So there's a lot of things. So rooting, sucking, and grasping. So rooting is when a baby is born, it needs to eat, but it can't chew. So it needs to suckle. And if you put a thing next to a baby's face, it will start doing this type of thing. Until eventually it latches onto a thing. Or onto a thing. And then it begins sucking. Now it's looking for milk. But if your finger's there, it will start sucking on your finger. If a cough drop is there, it will start sucking on the cough drop. If anything is there, because it's built to do it. This happens within hours after the baby is born. The baby will be born. You'll get the mom, all right, clean off the baby, give the baby to the mom, and the baby will oftentimes almost immediately start doing that. Grasping. You can take a baby that of a particular age, and it will grab your fingers. And it will grab your fingers so much you can lift it off the ground. And, don't do this, but you could lift it off the ground, and it will just kind of hang there. There's another one. If you push the bottoms of the baby's foot, it will curl its foot. And another one, at a particular age, it'll make it stand up, and you can balance babies in your hands. It's kind of, don't do that. Don't do that, kids. Don't balance babies. Evolutionary theory. That's the idea that we're based off of instincts, our motivations are instinctual, and the things that we do because of genetics. That takes a lot out of the human, there's less free will in that idea, and we're more just instinctually based. But I would say there's validity in that. There are certain things that we most definitely tend to instinctually do. Then there is arousal theory. And the idea here is that we want to achieve a certain level of arousal. What does arousal mean? It just means some sort of thing that is stimulating, I guess, is a way to put that. There's various levels of it. We've talked about this before in class, so I'm not going to go too much. So we are motivated. So this idea is that motivation. The other one, the idea is that we're motivated by instincts. This one is that we're motivated by keeping some sort of arousal level. You don't want to be too, but you don't want to be, so you're trying to fit somewhere in the middle of this a lot of times. So we have motivation by arousal or sensation. Is this negative? Do we like arousal or do we not? I don't know. I would say that probably the best debate is that certain things are desirable and other things are not desirable. If you haven't already, there is a assignment that I've posted on this, which is sensation seeking, and you guys will all get different numbers on that, because there will be certain things that are appealing to you on that and other things that are not appealing to you on that, and certain people like more sensation than others. There seems to be a lot of individuality on this. But the idea that we are driven by this is not a new thing. So one of the things is, the theories is the drive reduction theory. Did I come up with a, hold on, let me see if I might have come up with a, nope, that's your thoughts and law. Okay, never mind. I thought I might have pulled up a thing already on that. So the idea here is that we want to have homeostasis. This is the level at which we are generally wanting to function. And so like you have your fight or flight. So here you are. You're doing fine until, I don't know, a crocodile. That is a weird looking crocodile. Comes out and tries to bite you. And you go, yikes. And now that you've gone yikes, you're all out of homeostasis. Inside of you, out comes some cortisol and some adrenaline. Your heart rate goes up, your eyeballs, your pupils dilate, all of these things happen to you, and you are out of homeostasis. And you run away and you get away from this thing, and then you want to get back to it. Or the other way around. You are at a point of low arousal. So this makes us want to calm down. But you're sitting around, you're on the couch, you're just laying there, you're like, I'm bored. And at this point, because the only thing on Netflix is, what's the most boring thing on Netflix? Like reruns of, what do I find boring? Grey's Anatomy? Yeah, it's just Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy is on. And you just, it's too much. And so at this point you decide you're going to get up and you're going to move about to a different place because you want to reach this level in the middle. You had low, you had high, and you're always trying to get back to here. Middle ground. We like being in middle ground. We like to be in that area. Now, this also brings into the idea that we also want to get rid of particular ones. So there are certain arousals that are bad. So ones that we want to reduce unpleasant ones. So the idea isn't just that, sometimes we get bored and sometimes we want to get back to this level. There are certain things that are inherently just unpleasant when we are in a high state of arousal with that thing. And this tends to have to do with biological needs. So these things tend to be pain. This would be, why do we have pain? Because it tells us something is wrong, and it is a thing that is highly, highly, highly sensational. That's what it is. You've got a neuron, and it's going 1,000 times per second, and it is unpleasant, and we want to get rid of it. That's what pain is. It's overstimulation. It's over-arousal. Then there's hunger. That is very, very high state of arousal when you are hungry. You're very, very aware of it, and you want to get rid of that. And then there's thirst. Once again, if you've ever been really thirsty, go out in the middle of this, don't do this, but if you were to go out in the middle of the summer and get dehydrated, your thirst will become the thing that you are thinking about, and the only thing you can think about. You gotta pee. You know how that is when it's the only thing you can think about because you have to pee. That's a high state of arousal. And so we always want to bring those very unpleasant ones down. So eating, drinking, breathing. Don't breathe for a little while and tell me how that goes. We want to get back to that homeostasis thing, and that's what drives us, being in homeostasis. We're motivated by the idea of staying in homeostasis. And the things that are the stimuli associated with drives become motivators. So the things that get us to this stimulation, get us to that level of homeostasis are things that motivate us to do things. whatever that might be. Now there's problems with this, obviously. We obviously do things to increase arousal levels. That happens all of the time. Not just because you're bored watching Grey's Anatomy or whatever it is. Animals do this. Animals get bored. Things get bored, and that would be a low level of arousal. And so that can't explain everything, but it does explain certain things. So that leads to what's called optimal arousal theory. And optimal arousal theory is the idea that there is a perfect amount for any individual person, and that's this idea of the Yerkes-Dodson law, which is the arousal level for optimal performance depends on the task difficulty. The harder the task is, the difference in the difficulty level. So, like, if the thing is way hard, the optimal level of arousal is lower. High arousal can improve our performance and impair performance on difficult tasks. So that's kind of like that concentration thing. And this one looks like this. So right here is your performance, how well you do on a thing. Here's the optimal thing. So you want performance high right here. This would be perfect. Optimal performance right there. And so low, this is good stress, bad stress, this is too much stress, this isn't enough stress. If we don't have enough stress, then we don't get to a thing. Medium amount of stress we have here. So we want an optimal amount of stress or an optimal amount of optimal amount there to motivate us. I have lost the piece of paper. There we go. All right, we're going to talk about one or two more things, and then we're going to be done for the day. And this is the idea of goal attainment. So this is part of a thing called incentive theory. And we've gone over this a fair amount. And this is kind of that idea that we like having, we are motivated and we do things to get stuff. This is operant conditioning in a lot of ways. So we need to have some sort of goals. So we want goals. We have some sort of goal that we are going to achieve, and it could be intrinsic or extrinsic. And extrinsic motivator is a thing that is outside of you. It's outside of you. It's oftentimes tangible. Money. That's a weird money. That's a money. Money is an extrinsic award. When a teacher says, "Hey, here's a piece of candy if you answer questions," that's an extrinsic motivator. "Hey, I'll give you an A if you do this thing." Extrinsic motivator. An intrinsic motivator is an internal thing. It's an internal need. These are generally positive things. You do this because it feels good. You know those things where you watch it and it just feels satisfying, or you do a thing? You might have, like some people like cleaning because it just feels good to get the house clean. I like building things, not necessarily for the thing that I build, but there's something just internally satisfying about building something and creating something with my hands. I like learning, not necessarily just because I get anything out of it. Like, there's no extrinsic reason for me to know half the crap I know, but I still do it, and I'm motivated by that. So positive feelings or accomplishment. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. Some people are like, you got to be intrinsically motivated, and that's good. Intrinsic motivation is good. But guess what? The world works off of extrinsic motivation. Money is a great motivator. It's dumb to deny that. And so we work off of this. So if we give somebody an extrinsic reward, for something that might be intrinsic, though, So let's say that if anybody's ever if you ever have a job that's based off of a thing that you love, this will kind of happen to you. Your motivation to do that thing might go down, like your intrinsic motivation. So I like writing. I enjoy writing. I do a decent amount of it, but I used to do more of it when it wasn't attached to a job. I do less writing for no money than I used to. If you give me money to write, I will write like crazy, but I'm less intrinsically motivated to write than I was before then. And can be a problem because school works like this. Like, I personally absolutely believe that human beings are born with curiosity, that we want to learn things. When you're a little kid, your favorite question is why? Why does this happen? 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 And as we get older, we tie it to grades, we tie it to these other types of things, and people's intrinsic value of these things goes down. Now, how do you fix that? I don't know. Because the other problem is you have to motivate certain people to do things if they don't want to, because sometimes we have to get you to do a thing and learn a thing that you don't want to learn. Like, maybe you're me and you're just so great at art, but you're no good at, say, I don't know, math. Now, I personally do like math, but if you don't enjoy math, there's no intrinsic desire for you to learn math in you, which is true for some people. Then if we don't put an extrinsic thing in there, then how do we get you to learn it? Because it is a useful skill. I use math every single day. Actually, the first thing I do every single morning is math. It's how I turn off my alarm clock. So I have to solve a math equation in order to turn off my alarm. Otherwise, it'll keep playing music at me, and I won't be able to snooze anymore. So that creates a problem, but we kind of also have to do this. So you'll run into this. So these two fight each other. If we have an extrinsic reward that we like intrinsically, we tend to value it less intrinsically than we do extrinsically. So putting money with a thing or grade with things can backfire on us. But at the same time, what other choice do we have in some cases? I don't know. What else can we have? Does it always have that? No. Now, you can make you double up on it. So like, let's say this is just your intrinsic total, but like, let's say your total amount of motivation. You're like, I'm kind of motivated. I'm really motivated. So let's say that you're a little bit motivated to do math. This is math. And you're kind of motivated to do math. But like, you get motivated because your parents are gonna be like, here's $10 if you get an A. So here's these two things, and that's way extrinsically valuable to you, so that makes you want to do it more. So it can work either way. There are also things like conditioned incentives. So these are things where if you do this, you get this thing. We are kind of crappy at this as a human. So let's say we take a bunch of kids. There's just kids in a room. And they're kind of hungry. This one's got a hat. This one has hair. This one has long hair. And in this room is a thing full of marshmallows. Now, we tell the children, hey, you see these marshmallows in here? And they'll say, yeah, I want some marshmallows. If you don't eat these marshmallows for 5 minutes, we'll give you twice as many marshmallows. And the kids will sit there and they'll look at it. And the older a person gets, now that's not necessarily true. Generally this is true, but not always true. But a lot of these kids, I don't remember what the number will not be able to resist that motivation. They will be too motivated to eat these marshmallows. And they will come over and eat the marshmallows, even though they know that they're only going to get 2 or 3 now, but they could get 6 or 7 or more marshmallows if they just wait for 5 minutes. That's a conditioned incentive. Here is a thing, but if you do this thing first, there's some sort of incentive then you will do this. And this actually tends to make your salience, help us to keep control of these things. So as we get older, we tend to get better at resisting the marshmallows. At least that's the hope. But we tend to have a hard time with that, especially when we are young. We become too motivated by the thing we can't see into the future. So anyway, through learning, interventional stimuli acquire control over the approach, behavior, or cravings. So as we do this, we tend to get better at it. Wanting, motivation to approach incentives is distinct from liking, or the hedonic evaluation of those stimuli. Someone with a cold may want cough medicine but not like it. And that's actually a pretty interesting thing, because there's like, and then there is want. And you might like something and not want it, or you might want something without liking it. And this want might overcome your dislike for it. Or your like for this thing might overcome your want for this thing. Like marshmallows. I like marshmallows, but I want a cake. And if I resist the marshmallows, I can get what I want. So this motivates me to resist the marshmallows so I can get the cake. Or I like feeling happy and not sick. No, that's probably a bad one. I like pizza, but I want abs. There's some rockin' abs right there. I want those. Well, I don't want those abs, but I want abs. And so I will give up this thing that I like for the thing that I want by doing a thing that I don't like, actually do like. But let's say you dislike. You might actually go against the thing that you dislike. Like, I don't know. A lot of people don't like running. I like running. But you might take up running because you want those abs. All right. So we will continue